Waves usually comfort people, soft wind touches skin gently, and the ocean glows under sunlight like a dream. But in California, when the sun sinks and the horizon bleeds red, the ocean changes. The waves begin to whisper, cold sand shifts like something crawling underneath. And shadows move across the shoreline with no feet to cast them. Some beaches carry stories of ships that never reached the harbor. Lovers who drowned while calling each other's names. And ghostly figures walking where water meets the land. Tourists return pale, claiming they saw someone standing in the waves, staring directly at them, smiling with a mouth too wide. And when they blinked, the figure vanished, leaving wet footprints behind, leading nowhere. Tonight, we walk along California's most haunted beaches, where tides pull more than shells, where spirits watch from beneath black waves, where the dead wait for company. Hold your breath. Do not let the ocean call your name. Hello dear listener, I am glad you are here with me again tonight. I hope you are safe, comfortable, maybe alone with your headphones on. Because tonight our footsteps fall on wet sand. Our eyes stare into dark horizons. And our hearts prepare for the most 20 haunted beaches in California. Some beaches are beautiful holiday spots. Others are graves. Shorelines where drowned souls wander under moonlight, waves crashing softly like breaths of the forgotten. You might feel a cold hand brush your ankle in shallow water, even when no one stands near you. You might hear laughter in the wind, though there are no children playing. Before we start this ocean-dark journey, answer gently in the comments, if you had to spend a night on a haunted beach, would you sleep near an abandoned pier or close to the waves where voices whisper underwater? Think quietly, now follow me, we step barefoot into the first haunting shore. Santa Monica Beach, bright and lively beneath the sun, rarely shows its darker side to the crowds who visit daily. Children build sandcastles that crumble under tide. Tourists stretch towels across warm grains and watch waves glitter beneath cloudless sky. Vendors call from the boardwalk, music drifts over laughter, and surfers ride crests like dancers balanced on silver. Daytime feels endless here, safe and familiar, alive with motion. But when night falls and the last visitors leave, the ocean becomes something else. Quiet. Wide. Holding secrets beneath its surface like breath waiting to be released. Lifeguards on late shift speak of a man who appears beyond the breakers. Far from shore. Too far for any swimmer to reach, too calm a shape to be mistaken for drifting debris. His hand waves above dark water in slow, pleading rhythm. Not frantic, but steady. Like someone calling for help with last strength. The lifeguards respond quickly. Searchlights sweep across waves. Boats push from shore. Radios crackle with urgency. Yet every time they near him, the man sinks beneath the surface without struggle. No thrashing. No cry. Simply gone, as though pulled quietly downward by unseen force. Boats circle the spot where he vanished, engines humming low. Divers go down with flashlights bright as stars. They descend through cold layers of water, searching for clothing, bubbles, any sign of life. But nothing waits below. No body, no movement, no trail of sediment disturbed. Only silent dark water stretching endlessly. As if the man never existed at all. Some believe he is an echo of a drowning long forgotten by record. A soul replaying final moments in waves that never returned him. Others think he is a warning, a phantom calling attention to those lost to tide and undertow. A remnant of grief carried by currents like a message carved in water. Only one thing remains constant in every sighting. When he sinks, he makes no ripple. One lifeguard shared a night he will not forget. He stood in the watchtower, moon reflecting pale light across the surface. The sea was calm as glass. Then he saw movement far out, a dark figure rising and falling with swell. A hand lifted slowly, palm open to shore. The lifeguard watched the figure take one last silent breath before slipping beneath waves. Teams reached the location within minutes, lights sweeping across open water. There was no trace. The ocean looked untouched, as if nothing had ever broken its surface. The lifeguard said the silence after was the deepest he had ever felt. Another night, a pair of fishermen returning to harbor saw the man too. He drifted in open water, still, waving gently. They shouted, threw a flotation ring toward him. The ring bobbed alone beside empty water. He had vanished between heartbeats. They circled for half an hour, searching. When Coast Guard arrived, sonar saw no movement below. Depth scanned clean. Locals whisper the waves hold memories. That the sea keeps moments like photographs trapped under pressure. Those lost to storms, swept by currents or caught in ripped tides, may appear where they once fought for breath. Not haunting, not threatening, just replaying the moment no one reached them in time. Santa Monica has known tragedy. Riptides drag strong swimmers without warning. Boats overturn. Storms rise fast. Some assume the drowning man is one of many souls who never made it back to shore. His final gesture frozen forever in ocean's memory. Reports describe him always the same. Shoulders just above surface. One arm lifted high. His face unreadable from distance, neither panicked nor calm, only waiting. And when help nears, he sinks straight down like stone, disappearing into a world with no light. No bubbles follow. No trembling water. Only stillness. Divers who searched say the deepest cold feels unnatural. Where he sinks. Thermoclines drop sharply as if water remembers death. Flashlights fade quickly, swallowed by green-black dark. They resurface with more questions than evidence, shaking off chill that seems to cling past the wetsuit. A night custodian walking the pier after closing once saw him closer than most. Waves glowed dim beneath silver moonlight. The man noticed a shape below the pier*s beams. A figure waist deep, standing where depth should be too great for footing. The figure raised one hand. A slow, solemn motion. When the custodian turned to alert someone, even for an instant, he looked back and it was gone. The water beneath the pier lay smooth and silent. Tourists strolling the beach after midnight sometimes feel watched by the water. As if something waits beyond waves, patient as tide. Those who linger long notice patterns. A soft splash where no swimmer moves. A silhouette appearing just beyond reach of foam. The man lifts his hand, silent invitation or plea. And when they step toward shore to see more clearly, a swell passes and he is gone. Morning cleans the slate. Sun warms sand, erasing chill. Surfers paddle past where he sank without thought. Children run laughing across tide line. Gulls circle above, calling sharp and bright. No one sees the man beneath golden waves. The sea looks harmless, even friendly. But lifeguards know better. They watch the horizon with caution that comes from experience. Santa Monica Beach holds two faces. One bright with life and sun, the other quiet and cold when the moon rises. If you stand at water's edge late at night, listen to waves roll like breath. Look toward distant horizon where black meets silver. You may see a figure there, arm raised gently against sky. He will not speak. He will not swim closer. But if rescue begins, he may sink once more, swallowed without sound. And divers will search again, finding only cold silence waiting beneath the waves. Venice Beach changes after dark. The boardwalk, loud and bright by day, grows calm when the sun slips into the horizon. The laughter of daytime crowds fades to distant memory. All that remains is the hush of surf and the soft wind rolling across sand like breath exhaled from the ocean itself. Footprints scattered along the shoreline wash away with each wave, erased clean as if the sea dislikes reminders of those who walked before. But after midnight, something unusual happens. Those who walk the beach alone sometimes notice footprints appear beside their own. Not ahead. Not behind. Right next to them. Matching pace exactly as though someone invisible strolls beside them. At first it is easy to ignore, chalking it up to odd tide patterns or imagination fed by darkness. But the truth settles in when they stop walking. Their own prints pause naturally. The second set pauses too. Frozen. Perfect. Waiting. Some take a step forward. Their prints continue, but the other prints return as well, keeping pace. The footprints appear clear as moonlight on glass, toes pointed toward the ocean as though their unseen maker always faces the water. No weight seems behind them. No sound of footsteps. Only impressions pressed into wet sand. Local whispers say the prints belong to a woman who drowned near the pier long ago. A young artist, some claim, who wandered the shoreline nightly, painting sunsets and dreaming of far places. One stormy night she walked too far into the waves, losing balance in a sudden pull of water. Her body was recovered, but her story never left the beach. Now her spirit is said to search for companionship, walking beside any soul brave or lonely enough to walk the shore after midnight. One witness, a night jogger, remembered running along the surf in quiet peace. The sea glowed from reflected streetlights, and each footfall splashed gently in shallow waves. After a while he noticed footprints forming right next to his own. Perfectly matched stride. No one else walked near him. Looking behind, he saw two lines of footprints trailing like twin paths in the wet sand. He stopped, heart beating hard. His prints halted. So did the others. A moment passed where only waves spoke. He ran then, faster than before, but every time he glanced down the prints were there, steady as breath. Only when he left the shoreline and climbed onto dry sand did the prints fade behind him. Another story comes from a woman who walked the beach alone to clear her mind. The night was warm, tide low and gentle. She listened to the waves, letting thoughts drift as freely as sea foam. After several minutes she felt an odd presence, not threatening, but close. She looked down. Her own footprints led forward. Beside them, another trail appeared, step for step, as if someone tall walked quietly at her side. She tried speaking softly into the night, half expecting laughter from a friend sneaking up. Silence answered. Only the whisper of ocean wind. She stopped walking and kneeling down touched the mysterious print. The sand was cold. Colder than seawater. Colder than night air. She whispered words meant for comfort, hoping whoever walked with her found peace. When she looked beside her again, the new footprints were gone. The ocean rolled in, washing away all trace. Sometimes the prints follow slowly, keeping gentle pace like a companion sharing the night. Other times they move quicker, almost urging the walker forward as though leading them to some unseen destination. No one knows what happens if you follow them round each curve of shoreline until dawn, for those who witness the phenomenon often leave long before sunrise, heart racing with wonder and caution. You walk near the water's edge, shoes in hand, sand cool beneath bare feet. The ocean stretches endless, dark except where moonlight paints its surface. Waves whisper secrets as they curl in and fall away. The boardwalk behind you grows distant, its lights dimming against the horizon. You breathe the salt air deeply, filling your chest with calm. Then you notice something beside you. Another set of footprints forming in perfect pace. You stop. The prints stop. Your pulse quickens, not out of fear, but awareness. Something unseen stands with you, or walks with you, or waits with you. You take a slow step forward. Both trails of prints stretch on, side by side like two paths through the quiet night. The unseen companion never falls behind. Never steps ahead. Always beside. Curiosity draws you further. The night deepens. The sound of waves becomes the only music. You speak softly into the open air, maybe a greeting, maybe a story of your own heart. Nothing answers, but the prints feel like response enough. A presence without voice, but not without soul. Perhaps searching for warmth, recognition, or simply companionship in endless time. The ocean sighs as waves roll forward. One tall swell reaches your feet higher than before. Foam spreads over sand like pale lace. When it pulls back this time, both sets of footprints wash away, erased in an instant. The beach returns to silence, no trace of the journey shared. You stand beneath moonlight, caught between wonder and calm. The presence has gone or perhaps simply moved on. You look down again but see only your own prints trailing behind. The shoreline continues ahead, silver in the dark, waiting for new footsteps, maybe yours, maybe another. Venice Beach holds daytime life like a carnival. But in quiet hours after midnight it becomes something gentler, older, wrapped in mystery. Footprints appear beside those who walk alone, moving in perfect harmony. Stop, and they stop. Turn, and they stay. Some say they belong to a woman still wandering after her final wave, drawn forever to the surf that claimed her. Others think they are memory itself, marking where lonely hearts might find silent company in moonlit sand. So if you ever find yourself walking alone beneath stars on Venice Beach, listen to waves. Watch the shoreline. And glance at the sand beside you. You may not be as alone as you think. Footsteps might rise and fall with yours. Patient as the tide. Gentle as memory. Walking with you for a time before vanishing in the waves. Leaving mystery to drift like sea mist across the night. Malibu Beach glows under sunlight with waves rolling gently against pale sand. But night paints a different story. When the moon rises over the Pacific, shadows stretch long, and a cool mist sweeps the shoreline like breath pulled from the sea. At the far end of the beach, beyond the boardwalk and the laughter of crowds, broken rocks jut from the surf, dark shapes half buried in tide. Locals speak of avoiding that stretch after sunset. They say a woman walks there. A pale figure in a white gown, thin fabric flowing like sea foam around her ankles. She appears most often when the shore is quiet. Lights from distant homes flicker. But around her the world feels silent. Some see her from afar, standing still near the rocks. Gown swaying though wind barely moves. Her skin looks pale as moonlight. Hair dark and tangled from salt. She stares out over the water. As if waiting for someone who never returned. When someone approaches, they say she does not turn. She steps backward, slow and steady, facing forward as she moves into the waves. The farther she goes, the more her gown clings heavy around her. Yet she continues until water swallows her waist, her shoulders, and finally her head. Beneath the surface she sinks, not floating or struggling, but pulled downward as though unseen hands lead her back to sea. Breathing space. Let the image settle. Stories of the lady in the white gown drift through Malibu like sea breeze. Some call her bride of the ocean. Others say she is the spirit of a woman whose wedding day ended before vows were spoken. A storm may have taken someone she loved. A ship may have drowned dreams meant to last forever. No one knows for sure, but her presence suggests longing unfinished. A couple walking the beach late one evening noticed movement near rocks. They thought it was a swimmer or photographer. Until the woman's gown glowed faint beneath moonlight. She stood silently, facing horizon. When they moved closer, she stepped backward into surf. Feet sinking into sand. Waves rose around her without slowing her retreat. The couple called out, but she never turned. She slipped beneath surface slowly, hair drifting like shadowed kelp. No splash. No struggle. Only ripples spreading across water where she vanished. Breathing space. Another visitor described sitting alone near shoreline past midnight, listening to waves and writing into journal. Out of corner of eye he saw white fabric flutter. He looked up to find a woman standing near tide line, gown trailing like frost. She took one step, then another, though no footprints formed behind her. Fog curled around her form like veil. When he stood, she glided backward, each step still facing forward. Until water reached her waist. He blinked and she was gone. Only the waves moved, calm as if nothing passed. Some nights people hear faint humming near cliffs, gentle and sad, like a tune sung from old memory. Those who follow sound find themselves near broken rocks, moonlight shimmering across wet stone. The humming stops only when figure appears, pale and silent. She stands a moment, as if deciding something. Then backs into ocean once more. Breathing space, deepen atmosphere. Imagine standing at Malibu Beach at night. Sand cool beneath your feet. Waves hush and sigh in endless rhythm. You walk where tide meets land, breathing salt into lungs. Ahead, a shape stands still near broken rocks. At first it looks like reflection of moon on water, but light catches white cloth. A woman. You step closer. She does not acknowledge you. Her gown sways though air barely moves. You call softly, unsure if she hears. She takes a step backward. Another. The sea folds around her. Foam gathers at hem like hands pulling slowly. Her face remains still, eyes fixed forward. Water climbs her waist. She continues to step as if walking through memories instead of waves. You hesitate, torn between caution and concern. She glides deeper, never turning, never breaking gaze. The ocean embraces her. When waves lift and fall, she sinks with them, silent. You wait for her to rise again. She does not. Only moonlit ripples mark where she once stood. Some local fishermen tell of seeing her on fog-heavy mornings before sunrise. They cast lines from boats near shore and glimpse white flash near rocks. She appears clear for a moment, then dims like image drawn into mist. Waves crash, gulls cry overhead, but nothing remains when boats near shoreline. Only wind brushing foam across surface. Beach rangers speak quietly of footprints that appear overnight near cliffside. Single trail of small steps leading toward water. No return prints ever found. Waves should erase them all, yet some remain hours after tide recedes. Like memory holding them still. One surfer who stayed past dusk claimed he paddled near rocks when he felt cold current beneath board. The ocean turned strangely still around him. Looking toward beach, he saw white gown standing in ankle-deep water. She faced him without moving. He paddled closer, thinking someone needed help. But as he neared shore, she stepped backward into surf. He watched helplessly as she vanished under moonlit waves. The current warmed again. The ocean breathed as if nothing occurred. Throughout the years sightings continue. No one sees her face clearly. Some say her eyes are soft, filled with sorrow. Others feel she looks through them, beyond them, searching horizon for someone who never returned. When followed, she leads farther into darkness, into water where moonlight fades into deep blue. Breathing space, soft closing. Malibu Beach shines with beauty by day, but at night the lady in the white gown wanders quietly. She appears when world rests, when waves whisper secrets of tides long gone. She steps into ocean backward, as if unwilling to turn her back on shore she cannot leave. Some think she waits for her beloved to return from sea. Others believe she remains bound to tide by memory stronger than death. If you ever walk near broken rocks under moonlight and see pale figure standing where waves kiss sand, keep distance. Watch her quietly, let her path remain her own. For if you approach, she will retreat into ocean without fear or sound, sinking slowly beneath surface as if guided by hands unseen. The sea might claim her still, and in her vanishing you may feel the weight of a story never fully told. Moonstone Beach stretches along the coast in quiet beauty, where waves roll in like breathing, steady and endless. Sea mist settles against driftwood and stone, leaving everything cool and shining under pale moonlight. By day the beach feels calm and gentle, families wander barefoot through soft sand, searching for smooth stones that glisten like pearls. But at night, when sky turns silver and water darkens to ink, the beach becomes something else entirely. Something alive in a different way. Locals tell new visitors to sit by the shoreline in darkness. Just sit. Listen. If the wind is low and tide gentle, whispers travel from the waves. Not loud, not threatening. Soft broken sentences carried between foam and shore, like fragments of speech buried inside water. Some say the sea remembers old voices, lost ships, forgotten stories. Others believe the beach speaks directly to those who stay long enough to hear. People claim the whispers change depending on who listens. Most only hear faint murmurs, like words washed thin by distance. But a few swear the voice calls their name, gentle as a friend leaning in to share a secret. Come closer, they hear, syllables stretched by ocean breath. No one knows where the voice comes from. The wind offers no answer. The sea keeps its secrets beneath glassy surface. One man sat on the sand alone one late evening. Stars glowed above like lanterns hung in distant sky. He listened to the waves lapping shore in slow rhythm. For a long time he heard nothing unusual. Then the tide shifted, rolling higher, foam reaching for his feet. Between the crash and pull of water came a whisper. Not quite a word at first, more like sound forming shape. Then clearer, soft as silk. His own name. He froze, heart pounding with wonder more than fear. He leaned forward, listening harder. The voice came again, faint but unmistakable. Come closer. He stood, drawn toward the water before reason returned. Suddenly aware of the dark deep ahead, he stepped back, leaving only footprints quickly erased by tide. Others share similar accounts. A woman walking the shore heard what sounded like a lullaby hidden within waves. She followed the sound down the beach, entranced. But each time she reached the spot where whisper seemed strongest, it moved further ahead, always just beyond reach. Eventually she found herself far from firelight, alone beneath moon, unsure how far she had walked. She turned back quickly, feeling eyes upon her though no one stood nearby. Some believe spirits linger here, not angry but searching. Perhaps lives claimed by tide long ago still cling to shoreline. Perhaps lost sailors speak through water they once sailed. Or maybe the ocean itself holds voice, inviting those who listen into depths unknown. The whispers do not always call by name. Sometimes they speak in fragments. Stay. Wait. Not yet. Soft phrases like unfinished thoughts. Listeners describe feeling watched, not by one presence but by many, as though countless voices speak in harmony beneath the waves. Yet every story ends the same: when listeners return to shore, the whispers fade like fog burned by dawn. During foggy nights the experience grows stronger. Mist rolls across sand like ghostly tide, blurring horizon until sea and sky blend into one. Silhouettes of rocks appear like figures rising from water. In this haze, sound carries strangely, voices clearer than usual. A couple walking their dog reported hearing two voices, one higher, one lower, speaking back and forth in short soft pulses. They could not understand words, yet tone felt urgent, pleading. The dog whimpered, tail tucked, refusing to move closer to water. The couple turned back, leaving footprints swallowed by mist within seconds. Some explorers record audio at Moonstone Beach hoping to capture whispers. Most recordings reveal only waves and wind. Yet one late-night file contains faint syllables buried beneath surf. Hard to decipher, but present. A low tone rising, falling. A gentle hum that almost forms words. Listeners debate what it says. Some hear "come closer." Others hear nothing at all, claiming suggestion shapes imagination. But those who have heard the whispers with their own ears know the sound too well to dismiss. Imagine sitting alone near the surf, sand cool beneath your palms. Moon sits high, silver light shimmering across water. You close your eyes and breathe salt air. Waves break softly, foam hissing like whispers already forming. Minutes pass. The rhythm becomes hypnotic, steady and slow. You lean forward, listening deeper. A murmur rides the next wave. Not wind. Not gull. A voice woven through water's breath. You open your eyes, scanning shoreline. No one stands nearby. Footprints around you belong only to you. Yet the whisper continues. Shaped like a word, a phrase gently carried toward you. Come closer. Your heart quickens, curiosity tugging like tide pulling ankle-deep water. You rise slowly, taking one step toward waves. Foam reaches forward as if meeting you halfway. For a moment you consider walking further. But something in the air warns against it. Not danger. Not threat. Only the unknown waiting beneath black surf. You step back to dry sand and sit again. The ocean falls quiet, satisfied perhaps, or patient enough to wait for next listener. At sunrise the beach returns to calm and light. Children search for moonstones in warm sand. Families laugh as gulls swoop overhead. The whispers hide beneath daytime waves, silent until night invites them back. Only those who wait in darkness hear them. Only those who sit quietly enough can catch the voice between tides. Moonstone Beach holds beauty and mystery side by side. Waves speak without trembling air. Voices ride offshore wind. Some hear longing. Others hear warning. Maybe the sea calls out of loneliness, yearning for listeners. Maybe it remembers names long forgotten and tries to return them to world through whisper and foam. If you ever visit, go at night when stars crown the water. And tide glows like liquid silver. You may hear only waves. You may hear whispers shaped like words from another world. And if the sea calls your name followed by "come closer," remember to choose your distance wisely. The ocean invites, but it never insists. It waits, endless and patient, beneath shimmering moonstone light. Dead Man's Beach lies far from crowded boardwalks and gift shops. Tucked behind dunes where the wind never seems to sleep. Sand stretches wide beneath gray sky. Waves rolling in slow and heavy. As though carrying memories older than maps. Long ago sailors wrecked offshore and washed upon this shore. Nameless and cold, their final breaths lost beneath moonlit water. Locals still speak of them in low voices. The sea remembers, they say. The beach remembers. And those who sleep beneath its stars might feel that memory press upon them like weight from the deep. By daylight the beach looks peaceful. Children search for shells along tide lines. Couples walk barefoot where water meets sand. Gulls will overhead in slow arcs. Salt air smells clean and familiar. But at dusk, when the horizon burns orange then fades to purple, everything shifts. The wind sharpens, and the waves flatten into dark glass. The shore grows strangely quiet. People say even the birds avoid this place after sunset. Campers who dare to sleep here often wake gasping, arms flailing for breath. One moment dreaming, the next choking for air as though lungs fill with seawater. A heavy pressure pushes against the chest, invisible yet suffocating. Survivors describe the sensation vividly. Weight like someone kneeling over them. Cold against skin. Breath stolen inch by inch. The moment sunlight touches sand, the weight lifts. The air returns. But those who experience it leave quickly and never return to sleep here again. One traveler told of a night under clear stars. He pitched a small tent above the high tide line, listening to waves calm his mind. He drifted to sleep with the soft rhythm of ocean in his ears. Sometime after midnight he snapped awake, lungs burning. He could not inhale. His body felt pinned to the ground as though something heavy lay across him. He tried to speak but no voice came. Panic built. His vision blurred. Just as he believed he would never breathe again, a faint glow appeared along the horizon. Dawn approached. With first light the pressure vanished. His footprints were the only marks in sand. No animal tracks. No signs of anyone else near. Others describe waking to the sound of water rushing though no wave touched their tent. A deep hiss, like the sea itself, crawled across shore reaching for them. They opened their eyes to find darkness pressing close, unable to move or cry out. Some feel hands, wet and cold, brushing across their collarbone, searching for purchase. When dawn comes the feeling dissolves instantly, leaving only memory and fear. Legend claims the weight belongs to the last moments of sailors who drowned offshore. Their bodies washed ashore at Deadman's beach, faces pale and eyes open to sky they never reached. Some believe their final breath never released, heavy and desperate, now lingers over those who sleep. Others think spirits of the lost mistake dreamers for dying men, pressing chest to chest as if trying to share one last breath. No one truly knows. During low tide pieces of old ship wreckage appear from the sand. Rusted nails. Fragments of timber. A bent compass. Some nights pale shapes stand near the waterline, forms like men watching the horizon. Their outlines shimmer like fog, barely solid. A witness described seeing 3 figures shoulder to shoulder staring out to sea, unmoving. He blinked, wiped his eyes, and they were gone. Night fishermen tell of cold patches in otherwise warm water. Their lines go slack. The sea around them falls silent for a breath too long. Sometimes they hear voices beneath the waves, muffled and low, like men speaking through water. Not language they can understand. Just sound like memory rising through tide. A pair of friends once camped there to test the stories. They built a small fire near the dunes and talked until stars brightened overhead. Waves sounded calm, rhythmic. At midnight the fire burned low, crackling softly against wind. They lay down in their sleeping bags. Hours later one awoke to the weight. Heavy, crushing, cold. His chest refused to rise. He tried to move his arm but found it pinned. His friend lay beside him sleeping, unaware. He felt water around his ears though no wave touched them. A faint gurgling sound rose like someone drowning beside him. As faint light creased the distant sky, the weight vanished. He sat up shouting, waking his friend who had slept through everything. They left before sunrise fully broke, leaving the fire half buried in sand. Another visitor left a voice message the morning after his stay. He spoke slowly, still shaken. He described dreaming of waves closing overhead, of breaking surface only to be dragged beneath again. He woke gasping for air, chest compressed. He felt he was drowning though his lips were dry. He swore he sensed another breath inside his own, as if someone inhaled through him rather than with him. He never returned. Yet the beach remains beautiful. Sunlight warms it each morning. Surfers ride gentle waves. Families picnic under umbrellas. The sea glimmers like polished glass. No hint of night's weight shows on sand. Only those who have felt it speak differently of the place. They pass warnings softly like secrets passed around campfires. Rest on the sand too long after dark and you might feel the last breath of someone long gone. You might wake choking, fighting for air that will not come. If you stand there at night, listen closely. Beyond the crash of tide lies another sound. Low. Hollow. Like lungs filling with water. Look along moonlit shore. You might see faint figures standing where waves break, waiting for the dawn they never reached. They do not chase or speak. They simply exist in moment forgotten by time, replaying final breaths again and again. And those who sleep where they washed ashore sometimes feel it. A weight heavy as lost hope. Cold as deep sea water. Until morning comes. And all that remains is the sound of waves. And a memory of struggling for breath. Beneath a sky that never answered. Glass Beach at Fort Bragg glimmers unlike any other coastline. Where most shores hide dull stones and broken shells, this one shines like treasure spilled across the sand. Waves roll in slow, retreating with foam that sparkles beneath sunlight. Beneath each tide lies a mosaic of sea glass, polished smooth by years of water and wind. Greens, whites, and browns shimmer by day. Reds and blues hide like rare jewels waiting to be discovered. It seems impossible that this beauty was once trash-tossed into the sea. Worn down by time until ugliness transformed into art beneath waves. Tourists wander with buckets and open palms, kneeling in tide pools to sift through glimmering fragments. Children laugh as colors catch the light. Photographers wait for golden hour when the glass shines brightest, capturing reflections like tiny suns trapped in stone. In daylight, the beach feels gentle. Accessible. A gift from ocean to land. But when the sun drops and the moon rises, the beach changes. Tide grows louder. Air cools. Shadows stretch long across glittering sand. And some say on moonlit nights, certain pieces of glass glow blue. Not all of them. Only a few. Scattered like stars fallen from sky. Only a few. Scattered like stars fallen from sky. 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 Like a heartbeat beneath the waves. Like a heartbeat beneath the waves. Like a heartbeat beneath the waves. Imagine standing on Glass Beach at night. The boardwalk behind you quiet. Ocean whispering its steady rhythm. You walk barefoot through cool sand, the crunch of glass gentle beneath each step. The moon hangs full above, its reflection trembling across dark waves. You notice a tiny blue light near your foot. Then another. Then several more sprinkled across the shore like scattered embers. They begin to shift, drifting toward the surf with graceful motion. It feels alive. Curious. Beautiful. Local legends call them shining souls. One story says they are the spirits of sailors who drowned offshore long ago. Their final belongings lost to sea until they washed ashore as glass. When the moonlight touches them just right, the souls wake and gather near the tide, hoping to return to the ocean they once sailed. Others whisper they are pieces of lanterns shattered during storms, guiding the spirits of shipwreck survivors who never reached land. Many believe touching one invites the past to brush against the living. Visitors who dared to touch the glowing pieces report strange sensations. Not harm. Not danger. But a cold unlike anything natural. It shoots up the arm fast and sharp, like frost-gripping bone. For a second breath turns shallow, heart pauses, and sound fades around you. Some pull back immediately, gasping at the chill. Others feel emotion wash over them, sadness mixed with wonder, like reliving something they never experienced. Once the shard stops glowing, warmth returns slowly. But memory of that cold stays long after. One woman walking alone at night noticed a cluster of blue lights near the tide line. She thought they were bioluminescent algae until she stepped closer. The lights were glass pieces, no larger than coins, sliding across sand like they were drawn toward the water. She knelt, fascinated. She reached out, fingertips brushing one shard. A cold shock ran from hand to shoulder, deep enough to steal her breath. She jerked back, heart racing. The shard dimmed. Others continued toward the waves, bobbing like tiny spirits riding foam. She left with unanswered questions and a strange sense of melancholy, as if she had touched a memory that never belonged to her. Another witness reported gathering glass on a calm summer night. Moonlight reflected off water in long silver streaks. He noticed one piece shining brighter than the rest, blue like deep ocean. When he picked it up, cold shot through his palm. Images flashed in his mind, though only for a heartbeat. Water, sails, a voice calling out. Then the moment ended. He dropped the glass and it skittered across sand on its own, returning to others. No footprints led to it. No wind blew hard enough to move it. It simply drifted back as though pulled by unseen tide. The glowing glass never moves during day. The ocean polishes and scatters it endlessly. Some locals say the souls only wander when the world sleeps. When noise and light fade enough for memories to rise. They believe the glass carries pieces of human stories. Broken but not forgotten, glowing only when moon gives them strength. If you walk the beach at midnight, breathe slow and listen. The waves speak in their own language, old and patient. Sand glitters beneath moon like frost. You may see faint blue spots ahead, pulsing softly like tiny lanterns. They shift closer to the water, tracing paths that weave like footsteps too small to see. Kneel beside one if you dare. Watch as light grows under your gaze. But know that touching might reveal more than beauty. That cold sensation is not pain, but contact. A handshake through time. A reminder that human lives, once broken and thrown away, can return shining. You lift your hand, hesitate, and touch. A jolt of cold climbs your arm. The world quiets. For a moment you feel a wind that is not wind, a sorrow that is not your own. Then it passes. The glass fades to dull color, indistinguishable from others. The tide rolls in farther, brushing the glowing shards and pulling some gently back toward deep water. You step away, breath slow, heart shadowed by wonder. Glass Beach remains beautiful in daylight, but at night it holds something more, a memory of lives softened like sea glass beneath waves. Shining souls come to shore in glimmers of blue, moving like spirits drawn home. Touch one and the cold reminds you that the sea remembers. That even broken pieces can glow again. If you ever walk along Fort Bragg's coast beneath moonlight, watch for wandering blue lights at your feet. They might be nothing more than reflected dreams. Or they might be stories from another time, returned to shore for one quiet night. Huntington Beach stands bright and lively by day, surfers cutting clean through waves beneath endless California sun. Boards flash white in rolling surf, crowds cheer from pier rails, and salt wind carries laughter across the water. But when dusk pulls orange over horizon and tourists drift home, the rhythm of the ocean takes on a slower, deeper tone. Locals who stay late speak of something strange appearing where the sea turns dark and silver. A surfboard glides out there with no rider. Smooth, fast, carving across waves as though guided by invisible hands. They call it the shadow surfer. Most stories begin the same way. Someone notices movement in the break just after sunset. A board catching a wave at impossible angle, riding clean without weight. No human shape paddles. No arms pull through water. It simply moves. Some nights it drifts quietly, as if searching. When a wave crashes over it, the board vanishes a moment then rises again, steady as if someone balanced perfectly atop it. The board never seems to wipe out, never tumbles under whitewater. Breathing space. Let the ocean settle in the mind. Surfers waiting offshore often feel presence before they see anything. A hush falls across water, sound of waves softens, and the surface grows strangely smooth for a heartbeat. Then the board appears. Pale, old, with wax scraped thin near front. It rides low like someone heavy stands on it, yet no shape sits there. When moonlight hits right, a darker form sometimes becomes visible. A tall, thin silhouette, faceless and wavering like shadow cast on water. Leans with each turn, cutting toward shore then drifting back out beyond break. No one has seen it close enough to explain fully. Each witness describes something similar, but never detailed. Where others fall and splash, it glides effortlessly across glassy surface. Some claim the ocean around it grows cold. Others say the waves move differently, almost respecting its path. Breathing space. One veteran surfer told of waiting for swell near pier just before dawn. Mist hung low, soft as breath on glass. He paddled out past breakers and straddled board to watch sky lighten. Water rolled calm beneath. Then, from left, came sound of something slicing across wave. He turned and saw a surfboard drifting toward him across face of swell. No rider. It leaned as if carving a long bottom turn, spray dancing from rail. A shadow shape appeared faint and long, riding upright. The surfer froze. The presence passed within yards of him, silent, fast. He felt a chill brush across shoulders though water was warm. The board continued toward open ocean. Shifting between waves. Until fog swallowed it. He rode back to shore shaken, sand sticking to his feet with each step. At beach line he glanced out once more. Far beyond the pier, a single board rode wave after wave. Breathing space, slow and deep. Some nights crowds on pier spot the rider from above. They see only the board first, skimming across darkening water. Then lightning of fading sun reveals a tall shadow balanced atop it. No details. Just stark outline rising from sea. When board cuts close to pier, the figure seems to look upward, though no face exists. Onlookers gasp quietly, phones raised too slow to catch proof. The board slips beyond support beams into deep where tide grows black. A swell lifts it once more, then nothing. Only endless ocean moving under moon. Breathing space. One evening a group of young surfers decided to follow the board. They paddled after it as shadows stretched across beach. For a while they kept pace, board slapping softly against water. The phantom board glided ahead, never slowing. It turned toward deeper water, where swells grew larger and light thinned. The group followed until one felt sudden tug on his leash as if something pulled from below. Another felt cold current curl around legs. The third saw the shadow figure glance back without turning head or body. Fear cut through their curiosity. They turned and paddled fast toward shore. Behind them the ocean quieted. The board drifted farther out, then rose onto one last wave. It rode with perfect grace until crest curled over it, swallowing board and shadow together. The surfers reached beach shaken, hearts pounding louder than waves. Breathing space. Some believe the Shadow Rider was once a legendary surfer lost in Rip long ago. Continuing eternal session where sea remembers him. Others claim the board belonged to someone who vanished in storm, never found. Still carving through swells as spirit of surf itself. A few think the ocean keeps secrets like these, letting them surface only when tide turns right and moon sits low. Old-timers say if you stay long after crowds thin, you may hear faint splash out near break. Not crash of fall, not stroke of paddle, but soft sound of board slicing clean across wave. It echoes oddly, rhythmic, like someone practicing perfect turns under starlight. Some nights it comes closer to shore. Other nights it stays far and distant, where darkness folds like horizon swallowing light. Breathing space. Picture yourself standing where sand cools beneath bare feet, waves brushing gently at toes. Night breeze tastes like salt. Boardwalk lights glow faint behind you. Ahead, ocean stretches wide, black except where moon paints silver trails across shifting water. You watch waves rise and fall in steady rhythm. Then movement breaks calm. A surfboard glides where no one should be. A shadow stands atop it, tall and weightless. You hold breath. The board swings into graceful turn, climbing wave with effortless balance. The figure leans without body, bends without motion, like shadow dancing on wall. It rides closer. Spray glints white beneath dark shape. Then board cuts away again, out toward deeper water, fading into black. You wait, hoping it returns, yet some part of you feels relieved when it does not. Breathing space, closing gently. Huntington Beach lives bright by day, but beneath moon a silent rider carves where tide whispers secrets. A board glides with no feet upon it. A shadow rides like memory made of sea. Surfers watch in awe, fear, or respect, knowing ocean holds more than sport and sun. It holds stories. Some still ride waves long after flesh has left them. If you walk pier at dusk and see lone board dancing across dark water, do not call out. Just watch. Let mystery move as it chooses. For when the shadow surfer rises with tide, the ocean breathes deeper. As if remembering a surfer it will never give back. Torrey Pines Beach sits beneath sandstone cliffs where ocean wind carves ridges like ribs across the coast. Waves crash endlessly, smoothing shore with each pull, and daytime visitors gather to surf, swim, or watch pelicans glide low above the water. In sunlight the place glows warm and golden, a postcard scene of calm Pacific rhythm. But when the sun sinks and shadows stretch across wet sand, a different story unfolds. Locals speak softly about the pale children. Near twilight, when sky fades from orange to blue and tide rolls in thick and slow, small silhouettes appear along shoreline. They run across sand laughing, their voices high and distant, like echoes bouncing through salt air. From far away they look like ordinary children playing tag, chasing one another near drifting kelp. Bare feet leave faint tracks behind them. Their laughter carries, playful and bright, the kind anyone would feel drawn to. But something about them is wrong. Those who stand close enough say the children appear pale, skin washed of color like moon-bleached shells. Their movements are too quick, too light, never tiring. They only run and laugh, weaving patterns across shore as though repeating the same game night after night. Some witnesses try to call out, expecting them to stop or wave back. The moment someone does, everything changes. The children freeze mid-step, all at once, like puppets whose strings suddenly pulled tight. The beach grows silent except for waves. Slowly, they turn their heads toward the caller, faces empty in a way no child should ever look. Their eyes appear dark and hollow from distance, wide and unblinking. Not angry, not sad, simply void. Their gaze holds long enough to feel like minutes. Then, without sound, they turn and run straight into surf. They vanish into the ocean as if swallowed by air itself. One man walking his dog at dusk saw them first near tide pools. At first he smiled, thinking families remained late, letting kids play before dinner. The children darted around a washed-up log, laughing in soft, distant bursts. Something felt strange, though he could not say why. Perhaps how pale they looked in fading light. Perhaps how their laughter did not blend with wind, but sat layered on top of it like a separate sound entirely. When he called out hello, they stopped. Every single child turned at once, eyes dark, statue-like. He felt cold sweep through him despite warm evening breeze. His dog whined low, tail tucked, refusing to move forward. Then suddenly all children turned and bolted for the water. They reached the shoreline and disappeared, leaving only foam behind. He left quickly, heart unsteady. And for days wondered if exhaustion had played tricks on his senses. A surfer resting on the beach one night described another encounter. He sat near bonfire embers with board planted in sand beside him. Moonlight cast silver shimmer across waves. Footsteps pattered behind him, small, quick. He turned, expecting to see a family walking late, but saw instead a group of pale figures running quietly along waterline. Their laughter echoed strangely, not quite matching their movement. Curious, he called out asking if they were okay in the dark. Silence followed. They halted, turning in slow unnatural unison. Their faces held no expression, eyes black as tide pooled beneath them. For one long moment the surfer felt they stared directly through him, not at him. A chill spread up his spine. Then the children turned and ran into waves, slipping beneath surface without splash, without ripple. Sea swallowed them completely. He sat there unable to move until fire burned low to ashes. Some believe these are spirits of children lost to tide long ago, returning to reenact final steps nightly. Others think the beach holds echoes of past events, repeating like memories carved into coastline. Stories tell of a storm decades past when several youths were swept away during rough surf. Their families waited days without recovery. Perhaps night brings them back only to disappear again. Yet details differ among witnesses. Some report 5 children, others 6 or 7. Their clothing varies, simple outlines of shorts, dresses, shapes that seem faded like watercolor blurred by rain. Their shadows stretch oddly across sand, longer than they should at twilight hour. Some dogs grow nervously still, others bark into darkness where nothing stands. On nights when fog rolls heavy across shore, the encounters grow stranger. Mist thickens, swallowing footprints and horizon alike. Silhouettes flicker in and out like candle flame behind thin curtain. Laughter surfaces and sinks with tide. Voices echo, layered and distant. Those brave enough to sit and listen say the laughter changes tone, from playful to sorrowful, as if joy and grief twist together like seaweed in current. One woman camping nearby woke before dawn to sound of children singing faint tune beyond dunes. She stepped onto sand still cool from night, watching shapes dance along waves. Without thinking, she called softly into wind. Instantly the singing stopped. The figures turned as one. Hollow-eyed. Still. She felt rooted to spot, unable to breathe. Then they sprint toward water, dissolving into tide without trace. She returned to tent trembling, dawn light feeling like rescue. No one has captured them clearly on camera. Photos show only streaks of motion or blank empty shore. Audio recordings catch faint laughter beneath wind, but break into static when figures appear. Technology falters here, leaving only memory and witness accounts. Imagine you stand on Torrey Pines Beach as sun finally drops below horizon. The sky melts into violet and deep blue. Waves hush and breathe in slow rhythm. Sand cools beneath bare feet. Then faint laughter drifts from distance, playful like children chasing the tide. You turn and see silhouettes running across waterline, pale and quick. For a moment you smile. Then something inside warns you, do not call out. Do not draw their eyes. You watch quietly instead. The children pause by seafoam, feet barely touching ground. Their heads tilt as if listening. A breeze sweeps past, carrying scent of salt and mystery. If you remain silent, they continue playing until fading gently into mist as though never there at all. But if curiosity pushes you to speak, to call, to wave, you will witness something far stranger. They will stop. They will stare. Their hollow eyes will find yours. And then they will run toward the ocean without splash, disappearing beneath surface like memories swallowed by tide. Torrey Pines holds beauty and wonder, but also something haunting at edge of light. Pale children play along shore, neither living nor fully gone, returning night after night to laughter and sea. So if you ever visit this beach under moonlight, sit quietly. Listen to waves. Watch shadows stretch thin. And if you keep your silence, they will play uninterrupted. Vanishing gently into night as if carried away by wind and water. But if you call to them, be prepared to meet hollow eyes staring back, and to watch them slip into sea without sound. As if ocean reclaims what once belonged to it. Black Sands Beach stretches along a rugged coastline where waves crash against jagged rocks and the wind never quite rests. The sand here is unlike anywhere else, dark as obsidian, fine as ash. Against the blue of the Pacific it looks almost unreal. Tourists visit in daylight, drawn by the contrast of black shore beside bright white foam. They walk along the water's edge, fingers trailing through sand that glitters like powdered glass. But beneath its beauty lies something unsettling. Something alive, some say, or perhaps something waiting. People notice first how the sand reacts strangely underfoot. Step once, and footprints sink deep. Step again, and the previous print is gone. No impression remains, as if the sand breathes the mark away. It swallows them instantly, smoothing over like water reclaiming a trace. Some call it natural. Others do not. Because sometimes the sand shifts even when no one moves. Others do not. A man walked the shoreline one late afternoon, watching waves roll dark and heavy beneath fog. He stopped to take a photo. When he glanced down, the sand around his shoes trembled slightly. Not wind, not tide, but movement from below. Tiny ripples radiated outward like something brushed beneath the surface. He stepped back quickly. Another visitor described standing still and feeling something beneath. Slow. Worm-like. A gentle pressure moving under his feet, as if the ground itself flowed. He jerked his leg up, heart pounding, expecting a crab or buried fish. But the sand looked untouched. No creature surfaced. Yet the sensation continued beneath the other foot, creeping upward like something alive under a blanket. He left the beach and never returned. Stories travel fast near a place like this. Locals warn not to stand in one spot too long, especially near the high tide line. They say the sand there shifts with purpose. Not random movement of water, but something guided. A pull. As if the beach inhales slowly, drawing weight downward. Some claim that heavy items disappear overnight. A lost shoe. A dropped camera. Even small chunks of driftwood sink and vanish without trace. Scientists suggest volcanic composition creates unusual movement, sand fine enough to shift like liquid under pressure. But stories say more. They say the sand holds memory of those who were lost. Shipwrecked sailors dragged into surf. Divers caught beneath sudden currents. Swimmers taken by cold undertow. The ocean is deep, ancient, hungry. And the sand might be its fingertips reaching upward. One evening a couple stayed past sunset, ignoring warnings of fast tides. The sky dimmed to gray-blue as mist thickened along cliffs. They spread a blanket and watched the horizon. After an hour the man noticed the blanket sinking slightly. Then more. He lifted the corner and found it already buried halfway. The sand flowed over it like black liquid swallowing fabric. They tried to pull it up, but the beach would not release it. The more they tugged, the faster the sand consumed it. They abandoned the blanket and backed away. As the spot where it lay. Flattened smooth, untouched, as if it never existed. Some nights, when moonlight glimmers faintly on waves, shapes ripple beneath the shore. Not sea creatures, witnesses insist, but forms like arms or hands reaching upward. Only for a second. Only at the edge of vision. Then gone. The sand settles flat again. A group of hikers camping near the cliffs watched the beach move in the dark. They woke to a soft rustling sound like fabric sliding across floor. Peering toward the water, they saw ridges form and fade across the sand, long lines slithering like something huge shifting below surface. No animal left those trails. In morning light they searched, but found only perfect smoothness stretching out like slate. Not even footprints from their approach remained. One woman swore she felt fingers around her ankle. She walked near the tide, feeling sand soft underfoot. Something rapped, gentle but firm. She stumbled back and watched as the sand formed a small depression where her leg had been. The shape lingered like a handprint, then vanished as a wave rolled up and smoothed it flat. People say the beach is alive with memory. Whatever moves beneath is slow, patient. It does not chase. It waits. It pulls only lightly, a suggestion of deeper things below. But some believe if anyone stands still long enough in the wrong place, the sand would rise around their feet, then their legs, drawing them downward inch by inch, swallowing them like footprints. Yet the beach remains beautiful in morning sun. Tourists laugh and take pictures. Only at night does the place reveal its nature. When fog curls low and waves glow silver under moonlight, the sand shifts like a living blanket. Footprints disappear before eyes. Tremors ripple outward like breathing. Something stirs where nobody sees. A fisherman walking the shore at dawn once found a line of footprints leading toward the water. He followed them until they stopped abruptly, the final print deep and clear. Beyond it, nothing. No return trail. No marks in sand. Just the ocean waiting. Some wonder if those lost to tide walk back eventually, leaving prints the beach consumes. Others whisper the beach holds the drowned beneath its surface like secrets pressed between pages. And sometimes it moves, turning memory beneath like slow creatures sleeping under ash. If you visit Black Sands Beach, watch where you stand. Keep moving. Let your footsteps be light. Do not remain too long on quiet nights when the waves pull soft as breath. Feel the sand beneath you. Notice how it shifts slightly, like something turning over in sleep. Beneath the black grains something waits, patient as tide, moving slow, worm-like, almost human. And when you leave, the sand smooths itself flat, covering all trace you ever stood there. Only the memory follows, soft as the oceana's endless voice. Point Reyes Beach stretches along the California coast like a place shaped by wind and memory. Waves crash heavy against sand, each one echoing stories older than lighthouses and sailor songs. The ocean breathes here. Slow. Relentless. On clear days the beach is beautiful, long stretches of white sand, driftwood bleached by salt, seabirds wheeling overhead. But when fog presses down like a curtain sealing away the world, something mysterious stirs beyond the waves. Locals speak of a ship seen only during the thickest fog. A vessel from another time, sails torn as if ripped by centuries of storms. Lanterns hang from its rails, swaying with motion that feels wrong somehow, too smooth, too slow, like light underwater. The ship appears without sound. No creak of wood. No splash of wake. It glides across the water silently, impossibly close to shore. Close enough that if waves carried it just a few more feet, the hull might scrape sand. Yet it never reaches land. Some say it is a lost vessel doomed to forever search for harbor. Others believe it carries sailors who never returned home. A ghost ship, forever approaching but never arriving. Look at it too long and a strange heaviness settles in the chest, as if the ship calls out for witness, for remembrance. But look away even once, and it is gone. The fog swallows it completely. Only ocean remains, surface rippling like something just slipped beneath. One fisherman remembers the night he first saw it. He stood near the shore with net in hand, waiting for tide. Fog rolled in thick, muffling world to a soft blur. The waves were gentle, almost too gentle for that place. Then a shape rose from the haze, tall, dark, looming. A ship with masts cracked like old bones. Lanterns swung from ropes frayed to threads. A ship with masts cracked like old bones. He thought he heard faint voices, like whispers carried across miles of water. He blinked to wipe salt from his eyes. The ship vanished. No splash, no sound. Only the ocean he knew, rough and familiar. Another story tells of campers who set up near the dunes. They built a small fire even though the wind threatened to smother it. As fog thickened, they walked toward the water for a better view of the glowing tide. Out of the white-gray night a ship emerged, its silhouette immense and cold against moonless sky. Tattered sails flapped though no wind moved the water. The ship passed close, so close one camper said he could see wood grain beneath peeling paint. They stared, transfixed. When one of them turned to whisper to the others, the ship dissolved into mist. In the space of a heartbeat, it was gone. The ship has no name carved on its bow. No flag flying from mast. Some believe it is a merchant vessel swallowed by storms over a century ago. Others say a fire on board left crew stranded between worlds, doomed to sail eternally along the coast but never touch land. A ranger once claimed he saw the ship on 3 separate nights, always during fog thick enough to taste. Each time it glided silently past, never changing pace, never turning, as though locked to a path only it could follow. Fog at Point Reyes has power. It blots out sound, steals color, hides cliff edges and seals the world in damp wool. The lighthouse beam sweeps through gloom like a watchful eye. But even its light cannot pierce the mystery of the ghost ship completely. Sailors used to say fog is where the ocean keeps secrets. And Point Reyes holds more than most places. Imagine walking the beach alone at dusk. The last footprints of daytime hikers blur under incoming tide. Wind grows colder, rattling dry grasses along the dunes. You hear the distant bark of a sea lion, then nothing. Fog rolls in from the ocean like breath from a giant lung. The horizon disappears. The world narrows to sand beneath your feet and the soft crash of waves. Then, far out but not too far, a shadow moves. You narrow your eyes. What first seemed like drifting smoke grows larger, more defined. Masts pierce the sky like broken spears. Torn sails hang like ghosts. Lanterns sway gently, casting dim orange halos in the mist. No sound comes. No gulls cry overhead. The ocean feels too quiet, as if holding its breath. You stand frozen. The ship inches nearer, though waves beneath it remain strangely calm. It glides, impossibly smooth, like time itself carries it forward. You feel watched, though no figures stand visible on deck. The lantern light flickers, reflecting on water like ghost fire. You want to look away, just for a moment, to confirm what you see is real. But something inside warns you not to blink. Not yet. The ship draws near enough to see detail in its hull, dark wood cracked with age. You imagine the creak of boards beneath ghostly feet, though you hear nothing but the hush of sea. You blink. The ship is gone. Fog drifts where it once floated, featureless and quiet. The water breaks in ordinary waves, rolling onto shore like nothing unusual happened. Your heart beats slow now, unsure if you imagined everything. But footprints in the sand behind you prove you did walk here. Your breath visible in the cold fog proves you are awake. And deep inside, you know what you saw. Point Reyes Beach has many stories. Lost boats. Storm wrecks. Sailors who never returned home. Among them, the ship that never reaches land remains the most haunting. It glides through fog as though searching for a harbor it forgot. It appears only for those watching the waves when night grows thick and the world grows quiet. It leaves as silently as it arrives, slipping back into mist like memory. So if fog falls heavy on the water and you walk the shoreline alone, look for lanterns swaying in impossible stillness. Watch for masts rising like ghosts from the sea. And do not look away too quickly, for the ship will vanish, leaving only waves dancing against sand. A reminder that some journeys never end, and some vessels forever approach but never arrive. Baker Beach stretches beneath the Golden Gatea's towering span, where waves roll slow and steady under painted evening skies. On clear days crowds scatter across the sand, surfers cut through cold Pacific swells, and children build castles near tide pools. But as the sun begins to fall, the shoreline empties into quiet. Orange light drapes over cliffs, shadows lengthen, and the air cools with ocean breath. Locals who stay past that hour tell of a lone figure who appears near the waterline. A soldier, uniform worn and dark with age, standing perfectly still as waves break at his boots. Those who witness him say he always faces the horizon, shoulders straight, posture solemn as if waiting for something just beyond reach. His outline glows faint under last traces of daylight, like memory burned into the beach. He does not turn until someone draws close. Then, with slow, trembling hand, he raises a salute. A gesture not of greeting, but farewell. Moments later his form dissolves into light mist drifting across the sand. Sometimes, after he fades, a distant gunshot echoes faintly through the evening air. Not sharp or violent, but soft, like echo rolling from another time. Breathing space. Let the ocean settle around this moment. No one knows exactly who the soldier was. Some believe he served during wartime and never returned home, bound to shoreline where final memories rest. Others think he once walked this beach with loved ones, promised return, and never made it back. His presence carries sorrow, but not threat. Those who see him feel more sadness than fear, as though witnessing a moment meant to repeat forever until remembrance sets him free. One witness, a runner who finished late one evening, described pausing near surf to stretch under peach-colored sky. He noticed a figure standing still at distance, uniform dark against glittering water. Thinking someone needed help, he jogged closer. As he approached, the soldier turned slightly, not fully revealing his face. His hand rose stiffly in salute, trembling like leaf in breeze. Before the runner spoke a word, the figure blurred into mist and disappeared. A moment later a soft pop, as if gunfire far away, rippled across the wind. The runner stood frozen, unsure whether he heard it or imagined it. Breathing space. Two friends walking beach at sunset. Hoping to capture orange glow behind the bridge. One noticed man standing near water's edge. His silhouette sharp in descending light. As they walked toward him, his image flickered like reflection on water. Lifted his hand weakly in salute. Then faded where he stood. Leaving only waves washing onto sand. Both friends heard faint echo behind them. Like shot bouncing from cliffs then fading between wind and surf. No one else on beach reacted. Some nights fishermen on rocks near North End claim they see figure appear and vanish between waves. The soldier's outline reflects briefly across tide before dissolving. These sightings always come when sky glows red or gold, never full dark, as though dusk calls him from someplace beyond. Imagine standing at Baker Beach yourself as sun sinks low. The Golden Gate Bridge burns copper in dying light. Waves crash softly, coating rocks in white foam. Seagulls circle overhead, their calls fading with evening wind. You walk alone along shoreline, leaving footprints that tide erases behind you. The air cools, salt sharp against skin. At distance you notice someone unmoving near the water. Uniform draped against tall frame. Back straight. Head held high. A soldier. You approach slowly, steps sinking into damp sand. He does not turn. You call out, voice swallowed by waves. He raises his right hand, slowly, steadily, a salute chiseled in silence. In that gesture you sense longing, duty, and loss woven together. Before you reach him fully, his outline softens. Edges blur like watercolor touched by rain. The mist carried inland by breeze. The ocean roars once. Then, faint and distant, comes whisper of a gunshot. Not startling, just sad. Echo fades into sea. Breathing space. Local history offers small clues. Some records speak of soldiers stationed nearby during early conflicts, guarding coastlines with watchful eyes. Letters describe long waits on windy cliffs, longing for home. Rumors say one soldier walked Baker Beach each night before deployment, promising to meet his bride there upon return. War may have taken him far. And tide may hold memory of vow never kept. Others claim the soldier is not one man, but the echo of many. Lives once tied to coast, young men who stared at ocean wondering how many would come home. Their collective memory could shape one figure, a symbol of sacrifice walking shore as sun falls. The salute could be farewell from past to present, from soul to sea. Witnesses often note no footprints remain where he stood. Sand looks undisturbed, smooth except where waves kissed. Dogs rarely bark when soldier appears. Children near water pause like sensing something beyond sight. Photographs taken of empty horizon sometimes reveal faint shape later, blurred shadow near tide line no one recalls seeing. Whether camera tricks or lingering presence, people cannot explain. One evening a photographer captured sunset through lens. Reviewing images at home, she saw Soldier's outline faint in one frame. Yet she remembered no one near her that moment. Another image taken seconds later showed only ocean. Breathing space, deeper tone. The beach feels different when his presence is near. Wind quiets. Waves soften. World holds breath. Those who stand respectfully sense peace threaded with melancholy. No threat. No chase. Only moment to witness a story etched into coastline. He salutes as if acknowledging someone unseen, maybe remembering comrades, loved ones, a world left behind. If you ever walk Baker Beach at sunset, pause when light turns gold. Watch horizon where sky meets sea. Approach slowly. If he salutes, know you honor history with silence. If breeze carries soft echo of gunshot behind you, do not fear. Just look to ocean. Feel weight of memory. Let waves whisper goodbye. When sun sinks and mist rises. Soldier fades. Yet some evenings he returns. Standing watch as if sunset itself calls him home. In this place where land meets sea and day meets night. He stands between worlds for brief moments. Saluting what once was. Before dissolving into wind and water. Pfeiffer Beach lies hidden along the rugged Big Sur coast, reached only by a winding road between towering redwoods and ocean spray. Daylight paints the sand gold and the waves crash bright turquoise beneath sun. Travelers take photos of the infamous rock arch where water funnels through like a doorway to another world. But when night falls and the moon rises above cliffs, the beach becomes something softer, stranger, and more alive than before. Under moonlight the color of the shore changes. Sand glows with shades of violet, deepening to purple where waves dissolve across it. Minerals reflect lunar light in hues unseen by day, as though the beach reveals its true face only to darkness. The beach shimmers like spilled ink and amethyst dust. The ocean, black as polished stone, breathes slow and heavy, washing violet grains into silver surf. It is then the singing begins. A voice rises over the tide, not loud, but unmistakably human. Soft, drawn-out notes fill the air, floating between cliffs like ribbons of sound. The melody is beautiful, mournful, and hauntingly gentle. No words can be made out clearly, only longing woven into tone. Some say the voice sounds close, as if the singer stands just beyond the next rock. Others hear it distant, like memory echoing through fog. The song comes and goes like waves, swelling, retreating, returning again. Those who hear the singing face a choice. Most stay on sand, watching moonlight glimmer across water, content to listen from safe distance. But a few feel pulled forward, curiosity stronger than caution. And follow the sound toward the cliffs. One visitor described the night the singing led him beyond where tide foam touched his ankles. The song growing clearer with every step. Waves mirrored stars above, glowing faintly at edges. The path led toward tall rock walls rising out of beach like ancient guardians. As he stood beneath them, wind shifted. The music seemed to come from above. He looked up. High against the cliff face hovered a woman, hair drifting around her like strands of seaweed weightless in water. Her form glowed pale in moonlight. Her eyes were closed. Her mouth moved in song. Voice echoing through night like ocean heartbreak. The visitor stood frozen, unable to speak, breath held as if sound might break the moment. The woman opened her eyes then, slowly. Ocean deep, dark as tide at midnight. She looked directly at him. Not angry, not welcoming, simply present. The singing softened until it faded like dream dissolving with morning. She drifted backward, hair swirling around her like kelp in moonlit tide. Then she was gone, dissolving into cliff shadow. He walked back to camp shaking, unsure if he had witnessed spirit or vision cast by moon and waves. Others share similar stories. A group of hikers sat around a driftwood fire one night when the singing rose so clearly they stopped speaking. The melody moved like wind, tender and sad, capturing attention with invisible hand. One of them followed, drawn along purple sands, until he stood beneath cliff where the voice seemed to come from stone itself. When he turned to call his friends, he saw her, a woman suspended high above, gown flowing like sea foam caught in breeze. She moved slowly, as though waves carried her through air rather than water. He blinked once. She vanished. Back at the fire, no one heard footsteps return, yet he reappeared standing among them again, unsure how he had crossed beach so silently. Legends swirl around Pfeiffer Beach like fog across ocean. Some say she was a woman lost to tide long ago, waiting for someone who never returned. Others claim she is spirit of sea itself, singing each night for those who still listen. Members of local families tell stories passed quietly through generations, stories of a bride swept away by storm, her voice now woven into waves, calling softly to shore. Yet details change each telling, like sand shifting beneath feet. Many visitors describe hearing singing even when no one else listens. The voice travels on breeze, fading when stepped toward, returning when one sits again. As if distance must be kept. As if the ocean asks only to be heard, not approached. Imagine you walk Pfeiffer Beach at midnight. Moon shines silver, casting long beams through rock arch. Violet sand glows beneath each footstep, leaving prints like bruised light. Sea air smells of salt and cold. You pause, listening to waves stroke the shore. Then you hear it, a soft singing drifting from cliffs, tender as lullabies sung through tears. You move closer, drawn by beauty more than fear. The melody wraps around you, warm and aching at once. It feels like memory you cannot place, familiar and foreign. You follow sound across purple shore until cliffs tower above, black shapes against silver sky. You look up. A pale figure floats there, hair waving as though underwater. Her eyes glow faintly like tide pools reflecting moon. She raises a hand slowly, singing still under breath. Time feels heavy, thick around you. The beach falls silent except for her voice. You watch as she drifts backward, away from rock. Dissolving into night as if made of mist and longing. When she vanishes, only the ocean remains, its rhythm deep and ancient. You walk back across violet sand, leaving footprints that tide quickly erases. The song lingers long after she is gone, echoing in memory like dream fading at dawn. Pfeiffer Beach holds beauty unlike any other shore. Sand turns purple beneath moonlight, waves glow as if lit from within. And some nights, when tide and wind align, a voice rises from cliffs. A song both beautiful and sorrowful, calling listeners to follow. Those who do may glimpse the woman who floats mid-air like sea spirit watching shore. If you visit, sit quietly on sand and wait. Let waves speak. Let wind carry sound. You may hear singing faint as breath. Or clear as memory. You may see hair like seaweed shimmer above cliffs. And when you leave, the ocean will keep her secrets. Violet shores returning to silence. Until night calls her voice again. Coronado Beach shimmers under California sunlight, wide and bright beside the Grand Hotel that rises like a palace of red roofs and white walls. Waves polish the shore each morning, leaving shells glittering like coins at low tide. Tourists wander along soft sand, couples walk hand in hand, and children chase foam as it slides across their feet. The scene feels peaceful, welcoming. But when evening comes, when the sun melts into the horizon like gold sinking into blue, shadows stretch long along the shoreline. The ocean seems to deepen in color, turning mysterious, holding something in its endless sway. It is then that some guests see the woman. She appears near the hotel grounds, just past where the boardwalk ends and the beach grows quiet. A figure in pale dress, veil trailing behind her like torn silk drifting in wind. The veil looks burned in places, edges blackened as if touched by fire, delicate threads hanging loose like charred lace. She moves slowly along the waterline, never hurried, footsteps silent even on dry sand. Those who watch say she carries herself with grace, like someone who once knew celebration, laughter, dance. Now she walks alone under moonlight. Some see her clearly enough to describe her dress in detail. Vintage, high-waisted, flowing like something from another century. But whenever someone tries to follow her or approach, the distance never closes. With every step she seems just beyond reach. Not fleeing, simply unreachable. People say she looks toward the horizon as if waiting for a ship that never returned, or watching for someone who never came back. Yet stranger than her presence is what happens when she reaches the waves. She does not step into the water. She glides across it, light as mist. A few feet beyond the breaking foam she moves as though supported by something unseen. Not swimming. Not walking on sand. Floating. Dress trailing behind her like pale smoke. And as she moves farther out, something impossible remains behind. Her reflection. Even when her figure drifts across the surface, the reflection stays at the shoreline. A dark silhouette cast in wet sand where breakers fade. It stands still beneath moon, unmoving while she glides outward. Guests who witness this often freeze, unable to understand how a reflection can stay when the body leaves. The reflection simply watches, head tilted slightly as if aware of the viewer. Only when the woman disappears into silver distance does the reflection slowly fade into nothing. A man staying at the hotel during late autumn told of walking the beach at night to clear his mind. The evening was calm, waves gentle. He noticed her first as a pale shape against dark water. At first he thought her a bride taking photographs by moonlight. But when she turned slightly, he saw the veil, burned and delicate, edges whispering in the breeze. She walked without footprints. He stepped closer to call out, yet the space between them seemed to stretch. She never acknowledged him. When she reached the tide, she drifted forward, feet not sinking, dress untouched by water. He felt cold move through him like a passing shadow. In the next blink the woman vanished beyond the waves, and the reflection dissolved. Another guest, unable to sleep, sat on the hotel balcony watching the beach glow faint under moon. He saw the woman walking alone, veil fluttering soft behind her. A group of tourists on the shore noticed her too and seemed ready to wave. But when the woman moved outward across water, the group froze. One stepped forward, then stopped, pointing. They watched until she faded. The next morning the group remained quiet at breakfast, pale and uneasy, unwilling to retell what they saw in full detail. Rumors speak of a woman long ago who arrived at the hotel full of hope, expecting a new future. Some say she came for her honeymoon, others claim she came to escape heartbreak. The stories differ, but they share a common thread. She wore a veil once, untouched by flame, bright as new love. Something happened here, something that left her spirit wandering the shoreline, dress now ghostly pale, veil burned as though fire claimed the last threads of her story. Locals do not argue details. They only say she never truly left. Sometimes guests walking alone near midnight hear something faint. Not a voice. Not words. A soft sound like sigh or whisper carried by wind. It moves through seagrass and over sand like memory passing. Those who feel it say warmth leaves the air for a heartbeat, replaced by chill so gentle it feels almost like sorrow touching the skin. Then warmth returns as quickly as it left. And only waves remain. The reflection has startled more than one photographer. A woman taking long exposure shots once captured a dark figure standing at water's edge though the beach was empty. In the next frame only sand remained. Another person recorded video of the ocean under moonlight. Later that night she watched the footage back and saw a shape standing still while nothing moved around it, reflection tall and solitary. In the corner of the frame something pale drifted across the waves far from shore. She did not remember seeing anyone. But despite the strangeness, the ghostly presence carries no sense of danger. Witnesses describe all more than fear. The figure seems lost rather than malicious. As though she searches for something she cannot find. Her reflection might be what remains of her past, unable to follow her into the water. Or perhaps it is a piece of her left behind, bound to the beach where her story ended. Each morning sunlight washes the sand clean. Beachgoers return with umbrellas and surfboards, laughter bright and careless. Tide rolls fresh with promise, leaving no sign of the woman or her lingering silhouette. Only those who walk late know to watch where ocean meets dark sky. If you stand on Coronado Beach after midnight, when the hotel lights glow warm behind you, and moon reflects across black waves, you may see her. A woman in pale dress, veil burned at the edges, moving gracefully along the tide. She will walk without sound. She will step into water without sinking. Her form will drift farther, gentle as memory on the surface. And somewhere near shore, her reflection will remain, still and watching. Until she fades into sea and night swallows the last trace. No one can follow her. No one knows where she goes. But she returns again and again, a ghost hotel guest. Wandering the shoreline, forever searching, forever reflected. Against sand long after she is gone. La Jolla Cove looks peaceful from the shore. Families gather along rocks, watching seals sunbathe and waves roll in with steady breath. The water is emerald blue in daylight, clear enough to see fish weave through kelp forests just beneath the surface. Kayaks drift lazily. Tourists snap photos. It feels like paradise carved into the coastline. But below that calm beauty lies depth. Cold. Silent. Endless. A world where sunlight fades quickly and shadows move like something alive. Deep divers tell stories of what waits beneath that shifting blue. They speak of pale hands reaching from darkness, slow and weightless, as if rising toward the surface from another world. Not frantic. Not violent. Just drifting upward with fingers extended, as though searching for someone to hold. Some say they appear only at extreme depths, where water turns black and sound disappears. Others claim they saw them closer, beneath ledges where light grows thin. The bubbles are always the first sign. Tiny streams rising from below, too slow and too deliberate to be currents. They float upward, climbing toward the surface like final breaths escaping lungs. Divers pause, watching bubbles shimmer in shafts of sunlight before fading into open water. In the silence of deep ocean, every bubble seems like a voice. A message. A memory of someone who never returned. One diver, experienced and calm, explored deeper than usual on a quiet morning. His flashlight cut thin beams through the dark, illuminating swaying kelp like green curtains. The ocean felt endless around him, vast and still. Then he saw bubbles rising from below. A single line, slow and steady. He hovered, curious. The bubbles grew larger, closer. Then a pale shape appeared. A hand. Fingers open. Reaching upward through darkness. His heart surged against his wetsuit. He blinked, unsure if his eyes deceived him in low light. But the hand remained, swaying lightly as if caught in silent current. He reached his light toward it. And the hand sank back into darkness. The bubbles stopped. He ascended soon after. Breath shaking with something he could not name. Another diver exploring a sea cave described the feeling of not being alone. She swam through narrow openings, light dancing across rock walls like living silver. The cave widened, revealing an open chamber of shadow and swirling sand. She paused, floating weightless. Then bubbles drifted up from the depths below her fins, large and deliberate. She turned downward. Faint shapes moved beneath, slow as if rising through heavy fog. A pale hand reached upward, fingers spread. Then another. She felt a chill not from water, but from something deeper. She backed away slowly, careful not to disturb the moment. As she swam toward the surface, the bubbles followed like ghosts of air rising from forgotten lungs. Some locals whisper that the hands belong to those lost to the sea. Fishermen washed overboard in winter storms. Swimmers carried too far by rip currents. Divers who descended too deep, too long. Their spirits linger at the bottom of La Jolla, drifting through submerged canyons where light never reaches. The bubbles are their breath remembered by water. Their hands reaching not to pull, but to be found. Legend suggests that when fog settles over the cove and waves fall quiet, the boundary between sea and spirit thins. Some say if you listen underwater long enough, you may hear faint echoes like sighs moving through kelp. Others claim they felt a gentle touch on their ankle while diving alone, like fingers made of cold water. No one has been harmed, but all who return speak softly about what they felt. Respectful. Humbled. Changed. You descend through warm surface water, feeling sunlight on your back. Schools of bright fish dart around you, curious then quick to flee. Deeper still. The light fades to green. Kelp sways like tall grass in underwater breeze. You breathe slow. In. Out. Each bubble rising past your face toward distant sky. Deeper again. The reef drops away into blue fading to black. Your heart beats steady but slower now. No sound except your own air and faint echo of your breath. A stream of bubbles rises from below, too straight, too intentional to be natural. Hover, weightless, watching them climb. Your light beam follows them downward. Darkness shifts. Something pale moves among shadow. A hand emerges, fingers drifting upward like seaweed. It reaches. Slowly. Silently. You cannot see a body, only the hand, suspended in dark water like memory made flesh. The bubbles continue rising, soft and persistent. You feel cold trace your spine. Not from temperature. From presence. You begin to ascend slowly. The hand lingers below, drifting lower like something tired. Bubbles fade one by one. Darkness swallows the shape until nothing remains but deep blue below. You break the surface, inhale fresh air, heart full of wonder and unease. The cove looks calm again. Sunlight warm. Tourists laughing. Seals barking on rocks. No sign of what you saw. Yet you know. La Jolla Cove holds beauty and mystery intertwined. A place where life thrives beneath water and shadows linger like old stories. Bubbles rising like last breaths escaping drowned lungs. Perhaps these are memories made visible by moon and tide. Perhaps they are spirits who never finished their journey to shore. Some say if you dive at night under full moon, that the bubbles glow faint silver. That the hands move closer, yearning not for fear, but for remembrance. And that every bubble rising to the surface carries a story from the deep, exhaled into the world of air. So if you ever slip beneath the waves at La Jolla, listen to silence. Follow the bubbles with caution and respect. And if you see pale hands reach from the darkness below, remember to breathe slowly. The ocean keeps its dead gently, and sometimes, only sometimes, it lets their final breaths rise to the living world above. Trinidad State Beach sits along the rugged Northern California coast, where waves pound jagged rocks and redwoods tower over the shoreline like sentinels of another time. The air tastes of salt and pine. The tide moves with a slow, heavy rhythm, patient as breath. On bright days, the water glimmers deep blue and the sand sparkles under sun. But when evening comes or weather shifts suddenly, a thick fog rolls in from the Pacific, swallowing coastline with eerie silence. Locals speak of this fog as if it lives, as if it watches. The fog does not drift like ordinary mist. It gathers low, creeping across sand in slow curls, folding around footprints until they vanish. Travelers say it moves with purpose, shifting shape like something crawling through air rather than floating. A person walking alone may feel fog close around them, cold and damp like fingers tracing their arms. Sound muffles, vision narrows, and world shrinks to only a few steps ahead. In that haze, whispers begin. Soft. Barely audible. Like wind speaking through broken shells. Some hear their own name carried on breeze. Others hear unfamiliar voices, layered and distant, as if from another shore. Those who stand still and listen say the fog breathes. It pulls close, thickening around legs and shoulders, as though curious. As though it sees. Breathing space. Let the fog settle in imagination. Hikers describe shapes inside the mist. Tall silhouettes, thin and twisted, limbs too long for human frame. They move slowly, stretching through vapor like figures reaching from another world. A bent outline. A hand-like curve. Then nothing. Mist thickens again, white and endless. One traveler told of walking alone near tide pools when fog rolled across beach without wind. He felt watched. The deeper he walked, the heavier air became. He stopped, unsure if path remained beneath his feet. Then movement appeared ahead, vague form swaying in gray. He stepped closer, squinting. A tall silhouette stretched from fog, arms long and curling. The traveler froze. The figure drifted nearer without footsteps or sound. Only whispering filled his ears, soft like breath against glass. He turned to run but fog moved faster, folding around him. He felt presence close at his back, cold sinking through clothing like icy water. He forced himself forward, stumbling through haze. Minutes stretched like hours. When he finally broke through fog. Heart racing, sunlight glowed faint through thinning mist. Behind him nothing moved. But when he looked back toward shore, a shadowy outline stood within fog watching. Another hiker recounted camping near beach edge. At night fog crept over tents like living blanket. At night fog crept over tents like living blanket. He awoke to faint whispering just outside canvas wall. Not wind, not wave. Something else. A low murmur circling tent, moving slow. He unzipped flap and saw only swirling white. But shapes flickered beneath surface, tall and bending as if formed from vapor itself. He shut flap and waited until morning. When light returned, fog dissolved entirely, leaving no trace but damp sand and haunting memory. Stories spread quietly through Trinidad. Some believe fog carries spirits of those lost to sea, sailors and fishermen whose boats never returned. Others think the beach sits on boundary between worlds thin as thread. When fog rolls heavy, veil opens, allowing things from beyond to pass through. A few claim fog itself is conscious, sensing fear and curiosity, drawing close to those who wander alone. Daytime visitors often feel nothing unusual. Families picnic, dogs chase waves, footprints stretch across open sand. But sometimes ocean mood shifts without warning. Sun dims behind sudden gray. Fog rises quickly from water like creature waking. The beach empties quietly as people gather belongings, uneasy without knowing why. Birds stop calling. Surf grows dull. Shadows stretch long. Breathing space, visualize moment. Imagine walking Trinidad Beach near sunset. Tide low and shimmering. You walk alone, drawn by sound of waves. Fog approaches slowly, thick and white, curling across sand like tendrils. Air cools sharply. You breathe damp salt. World narrows until only a small circle of visibility remains around you. Waves fade to muffled roar. You sense movement. A shape forms in fog ahead, tall and thin, reaching upward like tree stripped of leaves. The shape leans, bending slightly toward you. It stands still, yet presence feels alive. You step back, heart steady but quickening. Fog swirls as if reacting. Whispering grows louder, words too soft to understand yet heavy with meaning. You turn toward path back, but fog thickens behind you too. For a moment you are nowhere except inside living cloud. You walk carefully, hand out, searching for open air. Shadows move near edges of vision, never fully forming. One stretches long as though reaching. You quicken pace. Breath fogs in front of you. When you finally break free, sunlight glimmers gold, thinning mist behind. You look back. Fog gathers again at shoreline like watching, shapes flickering within before dissolving. Locals say if fog surrounds you, do not stand still too long. The longer you remain, the stronger shapes form. Some who stayed claim fog pressed against them like weight. Others heard clear whisper urging them deeper into white nothingness. They returned shaken, unsure if voices were wind or something older. There are nights when fog lights with eerie glow, reflecting moonlight in strange patterns like veins pulsing through cloud. Those who watch from distance say figures glide across surface, tall shadows swaying gently as if breathing. They do not chase. They observe. And when fog pulls back to sea, footprints appear where no person walked. Breathing space, gentle conclusion. Trinidad State Beach carries beauty and mystery woven together. Fog here does more than obscure vision. It surrounds, whispers, shows shapes half human, half unknown. Travelers who meet it speak with reverence, not fear alone, as though encountering something ancient and aware. If you wander alone along this coast and see mist rise thick and low, listen for whispers riding wind. Watch for tall forms shifting within pale curtain. And if fog draws close enough to feel cold breath along your neck, walk calmly toward clearer sky. Leave mystery where it rests. The fog that sees may watch from distance, waiting for next traveler to step into its quiet, breathing world. Half Moon Bay rests quietly along the California coast, where fog rolls like pale curtains across cliffs and the sea breathes heavy against sand. By day the beach feels gentle, friendly even, with surfers paddling into blue waves and families strolling barefoot along tide pools. But nights bring something else, a subtle transformation of water and wind that few speak about openly. For on certain nights, the ocean glows a color that startles even those who have lived here their whole lives. The red tide. Not every night. Not every season. Only when the moon hangs low and the world feels strangely still. The waves shift from deep blue to crimson hue, shimmering like liquid ruby. Light pulses through each crest as though something beneath illuminates it from within. Tourists first think it beautiful, a natural wonder painted across ocean like art. Because beneath the red glow, shadows move. They appear deep under the surface, dark shapes drifting as waves rise and fall. Too large for fish. Too still for kelp. Some shapes lie flat, arms outspread like bodies floating just beneath the skin of ocean. Others sink and rise again, as though carried by unseen current. The water glows around them, casting silhouettes stark against crimson tide, then swallowing them back into blackness. Locals know to leave when the water turns red. They speak quietly in diners and bait shops, voices low so outsiders do not think them superstitious. They say the red tide brings memory of shipwrecks, of storms that dragged sailors beneath surface with no farewell. They say the sea glows not from science but from spirits returning to shore. Some claim to hear weeping carried by wind on those nights, soft and fragile, like someone mourning far away. A fisherman, well into his 60s, once described what he saw while closing shop late evening. The ocean shimmered red as though lit from below. He watched the tide breathe, uneasy. Then a shape rose near surface, pale against crimson glow. A hand, or something like it, brushed waterline before slipping beneath again. He turned away, heart heavy, and said he would not fish that week. Some things, he said, are better left unseen. Others tell of walking moonlit shore when the red waves rolled in. A couple visiting from inland stood by cliffs watching tide shine like molten copper. They leaned close to water, mesmerized by light. Then they heard it, a faint weeping carried on breeze, drifting around them like a distant song of grief. Not loud. Not threatening. Just sorrowful enough to pull at heart. They saw no one. Yet the crying continued, soft and endless, as though sea itself mourned for something lost. They left quietly, not speaking until far from shore. On another night a group of friends camped near dunes, eager to witness red tide they had heard stories about. When glow began, they approached waves, laughing in wonder. One waded ankle deep, letting crimson foam swirl around feet. But as he stood there, he saw shapes beneath surface, not fish, not seaweed. Forms like sleeping bodies drifting just below, motionless except for gentle rise and fall of tide. He froze, breath catching. One shadow hovered beneath him, close enough to touch if he reached down. He staggered back to shore, trembling as though cold had pierced bone. His friends followed quickly, none speaking for long time. Scientists explain the glow as bioluminescent algae, natural and common in certain conditions. Yet those who witness the weeping or shapes beneath tide believe there is more than science can reach. Stories echo through community of voices heard only when glow begins. Some say the weeping grows louder if one stands alone on sand. Others insist they heard names carried within wind, spoken soft as memory. Imagine standing on Half Moon Bay at midnight. Moon reflects on crimson waves like old coin burnished red. Sand feels cool beneath your feet, grains shifting as tide inching closer. The beach lies quiet except for steady hiss of water. You watch glow pulse through waves, hypnotic as heartbeat. Then, just below surface, you catch movement, a dark silhouette drifting lazily. A faint weeping, thin as thread yet sharp enough to pierce silence. The ocean hisses softly, like breathing. You cannot tell if sound comes from water or within your mind. For a moment you feel urged to walk closer, to reach for those shapes beneath tide. But something inside warns you. You stay where sand remains dry. The weeping fades, dissolving into night like mist blown by unseen hand. Those who remain too long at water edge during red tide recall strange sensations. Some feel tugging at ankles, gentle as chilled-s touch but cold as winter sea. Others report hearing whispers behind them though beach lies empty. A few claim they saw pale faces beneath surface, eyes open yet lifeless, watching shore without blinking. Always motionless. Always fading once approached. The ocean seems not hostile, merely full of memory that spills into night when tides turn red. Stories passed through locals describe a ship that sank offshore generations ago, lost without trace. Families waited on cliffs for loved ones who never returned. Storms swallowed them whole. Some say their spirits gather when sea glows, searching sand for home they once knew. The weeping heard on wind might be their echo, their longing woven into tide. Whether truth or legend, Half Moon Bay holds mystery under glowing waves. Red tide arrives like whispered reminder of lives beneath ocean. Shadows drift without splash. Weeping rides wind like forgotten grief. And visitors who stand quietly in moonlight may witness something unforgettable, a moment where sea becomes history alive, glowing crimson as though heartbeats beneath surface pulse upward. If you ever visit, watch from distance when the red tide comes. Let the ocean speak without stepping too close. The waves glow beautiful and strange, like blood and gem mixed into one. Listen to wind. If you hear weeping, gentle and distant, know you stand in place where water remembers. And when shadows drift beneath crimson tide, hold your breath and step back to sand. Some mysteries are meant only to witness, not to join. Mendocino coast stands jagged and wild, where waves strike stone with thunder that echoes through coastal fog. Sea spray rises high against black cliffs, leaving salt on wind and lichen on rock. In daylight the place feels open, powerful, alive. Travelers hike narrow paths above deep blue water, listening to gulls will overhead and distant buoys ring in drifting tides. But when evening falls and mist thickens like old breath across the shore, the cliffs seem to whisper with memory. Lanterns appear where no hands hold them, swinging softly in wind long after the lighthouse closed. Locals know the stories well. Lights appear along the cliff edge, moving back and forth as though someone walks there, guiding ships through storm as keepers once did. Yet no one lives in the old tower now. It stands hollow and abandoned, window frames empty like sockets watching the sea. Still, lantern glow returns many nights, bright enough to see through fog. No wires, no flame, no shape behind the light. Just orbs of warm gold swaying like they hang from invisible hands. A fisherman once followed them, drawn by curiosity or perhaps by something deeper. His name is rarely spoken now, only whispered when the ocean grows restless. One night he left his boat tied at harbor and walked along the cliffs seeking the glow. Lanterns flickered ahead, close enough to reach with steady steps but always drifting farther when he approached. Some say they heard his voice calling through the wind, a soft greeting, maybe awe, then silence. Morning came bright and cold. His boots lay neatly side by side near the cliff edge, filled with sand as if placed with care. People wondered whether he fell, swept by waves below. Search teams combed the rocks, divers braving rough water. But no trace surfaced. No torn clothing. No broken gear. Only the boots standing like quiet headstones looking out to sea. Since that night, the lanterns have gained new meaning. Some see them as warning, others as lure. They move in slow arcs, swinging though no figure holds them. When he blinked they stood in different places, farther down path, as if guiding him onward. A cold feeling rose in his chest and he turned back without following. As he walked away he felt eyes watching from cliff edge though no one stood there. Another visitor camping nearby woke to golden glow through tent wall. A soft creak, like rope swaying, carried through wind. She stepped outside and saw lantern light floating near the old lighthouse tower, moving up and down slowly. Not violent. Patient. She watched until fog thickened, swallowing the light like breath drawing inward. In the morning the cliff was empty. Legends say lighthouse keepers once patrolled the cliffs through storms, lanterns in hand, guiding ships to safe passage. Some believe they still walk the paths in death, unwilling to abandon duty. Others imagine something older, tied to water itself, reaching out with light shaped like lantern flame to draw the curious near the edge. Perhaps the sea calls those who listen, and lanterns are its voice. Perhaps the sea calls those who listen, and lanterns are its voice. Perhaps the sea calls those who listen, and lanterns are its voice. More than once hikers have heard footsteps crunching gravel behind them though no figure follows. A distant clink of metal, soft and rhythmic, like lantern hook brushing against staff. When they turn, fog swirls thick, revealing nothing but dark stone and restless tide below. The abandoned lighthouse keeps its own secrets. Inside, walls peel with salt. Stairwell winds upward into shadow. A few have climbed it on dare, claiming to hear faint breathing near top, or feel warm glow without source. One man said he found ashes in lantern cradle though no lamp has burned there in decades. When he touched them they fell like dust into sea wind, drifting away before hitting floor. Weather changes quickly here. Clear sky becomes gray cloud in minutes. Fog rolls in heavy and low, muting sound. In those moments the lanterns shine brightest. Warm color against steel horizon. Some swear they see silhouettes behind them, shapes like people standing still, heads bowed, coats long. But shapes vanish when approached. Light remains alone. One stormy night a small group watched lanterns sway across the cliff like someone walked a path invisible to others. The group followed at distance, careful not to get too close to edge. The lights moved steady, never faltering, even as wind howled fierce enough to topple stones. When the storm quieted, lanterns dimmed to embers, then disappeared. The group found footprints in mud leading toward the tower door. Old boots, heavy and wide, half filled with water. The tracks ended abruptly, not fading, just stopping as though walkers stepped out of world. Some say if you stand on cliff at night and call out, lanterns answer with soft swing. Others warn never to follow, for the path may lead where ground ends and ocean waits. But still the lights return. Calm nights. Storm nights. Nights when moon paints water silver. They glow without fuel. Swing without hand. They invite without voice. Mornings tell different story. Sun breaks mist, turns sea bright, paints cliffs warm gold. Tourists snap photos of lighthouse against sky. Children chase gulls along path. No lanterns. No footprints. Only waves. Yet the memory lingers. A glow beyond explanation. Boots left at cliff edge filled with sand like vessels returned empty. A fisherman never found. If you visit Mendocino coast when fog moves thick and wind carries salt like old whisper. Watch the cliffs. You might see lanterns high above surf, swaying gently, patient as tide. They may move ahead of you, always just beyond reach, inviting step forward. The cliff stands steep, and ocean below roars like hungry throat. Be careful where you walk. Lantern light can comfort or call. Look long enough and you may glimpse more. A shadow holding nothing. Or everything. A figure walking old patrol though no living soul stands there. And when dawn arrives, only stones remain, wet with spray, quiet beneath morning sun. Lanterns fade. But stories stay. Glowing like distant fire beyond dark horizon. Santa Cruz Beach by day is all motion and brightness. Sunlight glitters across the water, the boardwalk pulses with music and crowds, and the old wooden roller coaster stands proud against blue sky. The smell of popcorn and salt air blend together, kites dance overhead, and waves crash in rhythm with laughter floating down from the rides. But when the sun dips into the ocean and the last of the Daya's visitors wander home, the boardwalk changes. The lights flicker, dimming one by one. The ocean grows louder in the silence. The roller coaster stands still, its wooden frame dark like bone under moonlight. Maintenance crews lock every ride carefully. Chains secured. Cars fastened in place. Power shut down. Yet some nights, the coaster moves. Not a full run, not a roaring descent, but a gentle shift. A creak of wood. A slow, ghostly roll backward or forward. As though the ride remembers motion and wants to feel it again. People who walk the beach late at night say they hear laughter. Not the laughter of adults returning from bars. But the bright giggling of children. High. Light. Joyful. It carries across the boardwalk like wind through hollow beams. They turn to look, expecting to see kids running among the shuttered food stands or playing near the silent rides. No one is there. Only the coaster, standing tall against star-filled sky. Creaking lightly as though rocked by invisible hands. The waves answer with whispers. Some swear they sound like giggles folded into the rush of water hitting sand. A call and response. Boardwalk to ocean. Laughter to whispers. As if the beach itself remembers summers long gone. There is a story locals tell. Many summers ago, a group of children rode the coaster again and again, never tiring of its rush and thrill. They came every weekend until one winter storm damaged the pier, forcing closure for months. When the park finally reopened, those kids never returned. Some say they moved away. Others whisper that something tragic happened one night, though no records confirm it. What remains is the legend that the children loved the ride so much their laughter lingers even now, echoing when the world sleeps. One night, a security guard patrolled the boardwalk under flickering lamps. Wind pushed sand across planks like tiny ghosts racing between shadows. He walked past the coaster, keys jangling at his belt. Then he heard it. Bright laughter from above, like children riding the track. He froze, staring up at the dark silhouette. The car sat locked in place. No movement. He climbed the stairs to be sure, boots heavy on wood. Halfway up he felt the entire frame shift, a low creak like weight settling. He stepped back, gripping the rail. Laughter swelled around him, echoing from every direction and none. When he reached the top platform, the sound faded. The coaster stood silent as bone. He never forgot how cold the air felt then. Sharp as winter despite warm summer night. Another account comes from a couple walking hand in hand along the beach after midnight. The moon shone clear, casting silver trails across water. Thinking kids snuck in for fun, they climbed the stairs for a look. The coaster loomed tall and still. Yet the laughter grew louder. Then, slowly, the front car rocked forward an inch. No one sat inside. No wind strong enough to push it. The couple ran back to the sand, breath shaky. But when they turned to look again, the coaster was motionless. Only waves spoke, whispering like tiny voices riding the tide. You can imagine standing there yourself. The boardwalk empty, ocean black under moonlight. The boardwalk empty, ocean black under moonlight. Its frame rises into darkness like ribcage of a sleeping giant. You listen. Then faint sounds drift from the coaster. Tiny feet running. A bell ringing. Laughter rising bright and crisp, pure joy suspended in night air. You breathe slow, watching the shadows. You think you see movement at the top of the track. A silhouette sitting in the front car. Small. Childlike. But when you blink, nothing remains. Just an empty seat and moonlight painting silver lines along the rails. You step closer, drawn by curiosity. The ride shifts slightly, wood groaning as though remembering speed. You feel no threat, only nostalgia. Like childhood summers stirring deep inside. Memories of wind and hair, stomach dropping, heart racing. Perhaps the spirits of those who loved the ride return to feel it again, even when metal has cooled and crowds gone home. Perhaps some joy never dies, only lingers like laughter caught between waves. Waves rush forward, whispering secrets as they break on shore. The sound almost playful, like giggles folded into foam. When you open them again, the boardwalk lights flicker once then stabilize. The coaster stands still, silent and waiting. Santa Cruz Beach holds both life and memory. Daytime sparkles with movement and music, but night reveals something softer, older. A wooden roller coaster that creaks in darkness. A car that shifts though locked. Laughter echoing without children. Waves answering with whispering giggles like shared inside jokes. If you ever find yourself walking the shore after midnight, stop and listen. You may hear joy carried across time, gentle and haunting. The laughter of children who never left, riding the roller coaster again and again beneath a moonlit sky. And the ocean that laughs with them as if remembering too. Cabrillo Beach sits at the edge of Los Angeles where waves roll in gentle rhythm and tide pools shimmer with life under sun. Families come during daylight to collect shells, fishermen cast lines off the jetty, and wind carries scent of salt and sea. But when evening settles in and crowds thin, the shoreline grows quiet. The sky fades orange to blue, then deepens into night, and waves break with slow, steady breath. On those nights, a figure sometimes appears along the waterline. A young girl, slender, moving with calm steps, tangled in seaweed as though ocean dressed her itself. Her long strands of kelp trail behind like ribbons, weaving across the sand but leaving no footprints. She walks inches from the foamy tide, yet water never seems to pull her under. Some see her drift like shadow, pale arms hanging at her sides, hair dark and heavy with seawater. She does not speak. She does not hurry. She simply wanders, drawn by invisible line between land and ocean. Travelers who watch from distance say she moves as though searching for something lost beneath waves. A name, a memory, or a moment that never returned. Her seaweed dress clings wet against her frame, swaying with each step. And when someone calls out or approaches too near, she turns. Her face is pale, drained like moon reflecting across quiet water. Drops fall from her skin endlessly, though she never seems to dry. Her eyes hold depth of ocean storms, dark and far away. Witnesses claim she looks through them rather than at them, as if seeing something beyond this world. Then, just as quickly, she drifts back toward sea, walking not into water but through it. She fades with tide, dissolving beneath waves like salt in current. No splash marks her departure. Only ripples spread across surface where she stepped moments before. The shoreline holds no footprint. Sand lies smooth, undisturbed, as though she was never there at all. Some say she once lived near this coastline many years ago. A girl who loved the sea more than anything. She wandered tide pools collecting shells, knowing tides like heartbeat. But one storm night she ventured too far into waves. The ocean rolled rough and hungry. She may have slipped, caught in pull no one could fight. Her family searched for days, finding only strands of seaweed tangled on rocks. Since then, on certain nights when tide falls low and moon casts pale light across water, she returns. Others believe she is not one girl, but the echo of many. Spirits drawn from ocean depths, wearing seaweed-like memory of home. She represents those who never made it back to shore, walking boundary between worlds calm and silent. Breathing space. A fisherman told of late evening when his boat glided toward dock. Fog pressed low against water and waves rocked gently. As he approached shallows, he saw shape near waterline. A girl walking slowly, dressed long and trailing in tide. She seemed unaware of him. Seaweed clung to her like veil. He stepped off boat and called softly into night. She turned her head. Her face pale as foam, eyes deep and blank. Water dripped from her chin though she stood above tide. He froze. She watched only a moment, then stepped backward into sea. Waves swallowed her shape. He later said ocean felt heavier that night, as though holding secrets below. Breathing space. Another couple walking beach after sunset noticed movement near rocks. A small figure moved steadily, long strands dragging across sand. They thought it was a swimmer or child exploring shoreline. But as they neared, they saw no footprints behind her, only smooth sand gleaming under moonlight. She turned slowly, revealing face drained of color. Her hair hung wet and tangled. Water dripped onto sand like steady rain. They stepped back. The girl watched briefly with hollow calm, then turned away. Drifting into waves without sound. Hikers exploring tide pools at dusk sometimes hear quiet splashing behind them. They turn to see no one. But footprints of seaweed appear briefly near waterline then fade as though tide washed them from inside instead of out. Imagine yourself walking Cabrillo Beach as last light falls off horizon. Sand cools beneath feet. Sky turns violet. Waves roll soft. You wander near jetty. Listening to gulls settle for night. Wind carries scent of seaweed and salt. You notice something near tide. A girl. Her outline faint but unmistakable. Seaweed wraps around her like gown woven from ocean floor. She walks with calm rhythm, leaving smooth sand untouched. Curiosity draws you closer. She appears fragile yet unafraid. She appears fragile yet unafraid. Her hair clings dark to her back. Water falls from fingertips though tide lies several feet away. You call out softly. She pauses. Slowly she turns. Her face is pale, eyes shadowed like deep water. She looks toward you without expression, like memory searching for meaning. The world quiets around you. Only breathing waves fill silence. Then she steps backward into sea. First ankles. Then knees. Then waist. She does not lift arms or swim. She simply fades beneath surface as if water welcomes her home. Ripples spread outward in calm rings. She is gone. Locals warn not to follow her. The ocean holds power. People who walk too deep into fog or tide risk being drawn further. Some say if you stand still and watch long enough, she might raise her hand just once as if asking for help. But she never speaks. She only returns to water where her story began. A lifeguard on night patrol once saw her near rocks, walking slow and silent. At first he thought a swimmer needed assistance. When he reached shoreline, she turned. Her face pale, water pouring from dress though tide was far out. He took one step forward and clouds parted to reveal moon. In silver light she dissolved before him. Only seaweed remained tangled on rock where she stood a moment earlier. Breathing space, closing gently. Cabrillo Beach holds more than waves and weather. A girl in seaweed dress who wanders boundary between sea and land. She leaves no footprints. Water drips from her as though tide lives in her veins. She appears calm, sorrowful, searching. Then fades where waves meet night. If you visit under moon, watch waterline with quiet respect. You may glimpse pale figure gliding along shore, seaweed trailing like memory behind. Do not follow too far. Let her return to ocean she calls home. For at Cabrillo Beach the tides carry stories. And some walk side by side with waves long after footprints are gone. Bodega Bay sits quiet beneath Northern California fog, a town shaped by ocean wind and weathered docks. Fishing boats sway gently against wooden pylons, ropes creaking through night like old voices remembering storms long past. By day the bay feels peaceful, gulls circling overhead, salt air thick with scent of seaweed and fresh catch. But after sunset, when tides darken to ink and fog drifts low across water, locals tell of a different presence offshore. They call him the fisherman's return. Late on still nights, when waves lie calm and moon hangs behind clouds, a small boat appears out beyond harbor lights. Not loud. Not fast. It drifts silently across black surface, glowing faintly as though lit from within by pale blue lantern. The shape is unmistakable, an old wooden skiff, the kind used generations ago, paint long peeled, mast broken, nets trailing into water like ghostly hair. Inside stands a lone figure. Witnesses describe him tall, shoulders bent slightly forward as if from years hauling nets. His coat flaps slowly though wind barely moves. His silhouette holds steady, hands gripping the edge of boat. Sometimes he lifts one arm, waving toward shore. The gesture seems tired, pleading more than greeting. Those who watch feel urged to help, as if the sea itself carries quiet request. But approach is where the story turns. A pair of kayakers once paddled toward the glowing vessel, thinking someone needed rescue. Their headlamps cut through dark, beams bouncing off soft fog. As they neared, the figure's glow dimmed. The shape grew transparent, boat dissolving like mist. They shouted, asking if he was hurt. No voice answered. Only the sound of gentle splash, as though someone slipped beneath water. Ripples widened, then stilled. The boat was gone. Cold spread through air around them, sharp enough to raise goosebumps even beneath layers. They paddled back in silence, watching fog swallow horizon behind them. Another account tells of a man sitting by shore long past midnight, unable to sleep. He saw faint light drifting beyond breakers, softly rocking with tide. He thought it odd, no boat scheduled to return that late. The light drew closer, revealing worn timber edges flickering like candle flame. He stood at waterline, calling for the boat to come in if help was needed. The figure aboard raised one arm and waved. The man borrowed a rowboat tied nearby, rowing hard into calm water. The glowing skiff hovered ahead, always just out of reach. No matter how fast he rowed, distance remained steady. Then fog thickened suddenly, swallowing stars. When clear air returned moments later, the boat was gone. Only the echo of distant or splash lingered, fading like memory lost to tide. Local fishermen speak quietly about the ghost boat while repairing nets at dawn. Some believe it belonged to a man lost decades ago during sudden storm, never recovered though search lasted days. Others say many boats were claimed by Pacific before weather tracking existed. Any one of those could return, glowing under moon, guided by longing stronger than ocean's pull. Old-timers recall a gale that swept through Bodega Bay long ago, destroying docks and capsizing vessels. Families waited at shoreline clutching lanterns, hoping shapes on horizon were loved ones returning. Some boats came home battered. Others never did. Perhaps one still tries, unable to reach shore fully, trapped between tide and memory. Fog plays tricks, people say. But not like this. A Coast Guard officer patrolling one winter night saw faint light drifting toward harbor. Thinking it distress, he moved to intercept. Through binoculars he saw man in boat waving silently. No radio responded, no signal returned. He prepared rescue, but as vessel neared breakwater it shimmered strangely, outlines flickering like candles struggling in wind. Then boat faded. No debris. No swell. Only soft splash heard once, like body slipping beneath surface. Yet sonar detected nothing below. Stories grow each season. Sometimes boat appears near cliffs. Always silent. Always waving. Glow soft as bioluminescent plankton. But shaped like timber and man. Some nights waves carry faint sound. Not crying or shouting. But slow rhythmic creak like old oars moving through sea. Some nights. Waves carry faint sound. Not crying or shouting. But slow rhythmic creak like old oars moving through sea. Stories grow each season. Imagine standing at Bodega Bay Pier close to midnight. Lanterns sway gently above docks, wind cold against skin. The ocean lies calm, as if holding breath. You hear distant foghorn, low and drawn out. Then corner of your eye catches pale glow offshore. A boat glimmers, its outline trembling with every ripple. A man stands aboard, still as carved figurehead. He lifts one hand, waves slow and heavy. You feel something inside pull, a curiosity, empathy, chill of the unknown. You watch tide reflect cold silver of moon. The boat drifts closer until you see details, cracked boards, frayed rope, empty net trailing like seaweed strand. The man's features blur, neither young nor old. His eyes seem dark hollows deeper than night around him. He waves again. Soft. Repeated. Invitation or warning, you cannot tell. You step toward edge of pier. But something holds you back, a instinct whispering caution. Then, without sound, glow thins like smoke. Figure blurs. Vessel dissolves from hull to mast. A gentle splash breaks silence, light ripples spreading outward. When water smooths, nothing remains. Fog rolls through like curtain closing scene. Visitors leave that night changed, unsure if they witnessed ghost or reflection of past tragedy woven into tide. Yet countless stories align enough to wonder if the ocean keeps a promise unfinished. Many believe fishermen's return is not dangerous, only searching. A soul bound to sea trying to come home. Each wave brings him closer to shore, but never enough to step onto sand. He fades with tide, returns another night, always waving, always hoping someone will follow, though none who did ever reached him fully. If you walk along Bodega Bay at night, watch horizon when fog thins. You may see faint glow drifting like lantern lost in dark. You may witness figure aboard silent boat waving slowly. And if you feel urged to help, remember those before who rode near, only to watch him fade like smoke upon water, leaving nothing but cold splash and ripple against moonlit sea. The ocean holds many stories. Some sink and rest forever. Others rise with tide, returning in glimpses to those willing to stand and watch. The fisherman's return remains one of them, a part memory, part mystery, forever calling from water he never truly left. So now we leave the haunted beaches of California, though maybe the waves still echo in your mind. 20 shores touched by tragedy, filled with voices, shadows, footsteps, drowned love stories, ghost ships, children running where only spirits play. If you ever walk alone at night by the California coast, remember. The ocean always watches. Sometimes it whispers back. Sometimes something rises from beneath the waves when no moon shines. Thank you for joining me tonight on this dark shoreline journey. May your sleep be calm, may your dreams stay warm, and may no cold wet hand touch your ankle when you turn off the lights. Before you go, answer in the comments, which haunted beach scared you the most, and would you sit near the waves alone at midnight? Good night, dear friend, sleep softly, and listen, the ocean might still be calling.